Allison Sweeney, Sami Brady on Days of Our Lives, is making her emotional return to Salem, and this time it's all about unfinished business with her son, Johnny, and her complicated history with EJ DiMera. In a recent interview, Sweeney opened up about the gravity of the storyline and why it means so much to her and to longtime fans. A son's heartbreak and a mother's guilt. Sami's reappearance in Salem comes at a moment of tremendous emotional turmoil. EJ DiMera is lying in a hospital bed, unconscious and clinging to life after being shot, a shocking turn of events that has shaken the DiMera family to its core. But it isn't just the physical trauma that's left Johnny devastated. It's what he's learned about his father's actions from the past, secrets that were never supposed to come to light. The truth didn't come from Sami herself, but rather slipped out unexpectedly thanks to a well-meaning but ultimately devastating conversation between Roman and Kate. What was meant to stay buried or at least softened over time suddenly erupted, leaving Johnny feeling blindsided. For a young man who looked up to his father, who trusted his parents' love story despite its turbulent past, the revelation was too much to bear. Feeling betrayed by EJ and abandoned by his mother, Johnny finds himself emotionally adrift, and even Chanel, his devoted wife, can't seem to reach him. That's where Sami comes in. Allison Sweeney, embracing the weight of the past. Allison Sweeney confessed she was caught off guard when approached with the storyline. "I like the idea," she explained in her interview, "but to me it just seemed like common knowledge." Like many longtime viewers, Sweeney assumed the events from nearly 20 years ago had been fully addressed, at least within the family. But as the writers crafted the new arc, it became clear that certain truths had never been passed down, and that silence was now echoing painfully in Johnny's life. Still, Sweeney embraced the chance to dive back into one of her character's most impactful chapters. "I felt a responsibility to honor the storyline," she said. "I remember how much of a stir that storyline caused when it happened and how all the different fanbases felt about it." For her, revisiting the storyline isn't just a chance to act, it's a chance to reconnect with the show's legacy and the audience who lived through those dramatic episodes alongside Sami. Sweeney also shared that one of her goals in returning was to offer the performance that fans of the original storyline and newer viewers deserve. "I hope I'm giving my best shot in this scene," she added, acknowledging the emotional gravity of the work she was stepping back into. A new chapter for Sami, growth, therapy, and redemption. One of the most intriguing developments of this return is how much Sami herself has changed. Known for her impulsiveness, her fiery temper, and her relentless drive, Sami has often bulldozed through relationships and conflicts in the past. But this time, fans will see a different side, a woman who has spent time in therapy, who has done the hard work of emotional growth, and who is returning to Salem not just to defend herself, but to truly be there for her son. She's had time to reflect, to heal, and to understand her role in the mistakes of the past, Sweeney revealed. That growth becomes essential as she faces Johnny, a young man wrestling with questions that have haunted him since childhood, questions about trust, love, and the choices his parents made. Sami isn't the same person she was when she left Salem. She's coming back with more self-awareness, more grace, and a readiness to take responsibility. And in doing so, she hopes to help her son through his own storm of emotions. A mother-son bond in the spotlight. Sweeney spoke warmly about working with Carson Boatman, who plays Johnny, highlighting the emotional support he offered behind the scenes as well as on camera. "He was so sweet. My comeback was Sami doing a lot of monologues with her son, so I had a lot of dialogue, and Carson was like, 'Can I help?'" she recalled. The two actors quickly found a rhythm, and their chemistry brings a raw authenticity to their scenes together. Their on-screen relationship will be the emotional heart of the storyline. As Johnny demands answers and confronts long-held resentment, Sami must walk a careful line, defending herself where necessary, but also validating her son's pain and helping him understand the complexity of her decisions. A return with purpose. This isn't just a nostalgic cameo. Sami's return is filled with emotional purpose. It's about reckoning with the past, yes, but it's also about the future, about healing a bond between mother and son that has been fractured for far too long. For viewers, especially those who have watched Sami grow from a rebellious teen into a complicated, passionate woman, this arc is a payoff years in the making. It gives depth and meaning to earlier storylines, and it provides closure that fans may not have even realized they needed. And while EJ's fate remains uncertain, and Johnny continues to struggle with the fallout, Sami's presence in Salem brings with it a sense of hope. Hope that even the most tangled family histories can be faced, that forgiveness is possible, and that love, no matter how messy, can still bind people together. The legacy continues as always. Alison Sweeney brings a fierce commitment to her role. Her return to Days of Our Lives is more than just a guest appearance. It's a tribute to the power of storytelling, to the enduring connection between actor and audience, and to the emotional resilience of a character who has spent a lifetime navigating the hardest choices with her heart on her sleeve. For longtime fans, Sami Brady's return is a reminder of why they've stayed loyal to this show for so many years. And for new viewers, it's a masterclass in how the past can shape and ultimately heal the present. Sami may have left Salem before, but this time she's back not just to revisit old wounds, but to finally close them. Next, late one afternoon, Tate trudged through the front door of his quiet suburban home, shoulders slumped as if carrying an invisible burden. He let out a deep sigh, sank into his favorite armchair, and stared at his phone's screen with growing concern. His thumb hovered over the message field as he tried to compose a text to Holly, hoping she would pick up the phone instead. "Please call me. I need to talk." Just as he pressed send, there was a knock at the door. Tate's heart jumped. He wasn't expecting anyone. Rising slowly, he opened it to find his close friend Sophia standing on the porch, her face pale and drawn. "Sophia, what's wrong?" Tate asked, voice tight with unease. She took a shaky breath. "Tate, it's EJ. He was shot last night." For a moment, Tate's mind went blank. EJ, his former stepfather, was well-liked by most in their circle. Kind to Tate's little sister, friendly with his friends Rachel and Johnny, and even on good terms with Holly. "Are you serious?" Tate managed, his voice barely more than a whisper. Sophia nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. "I've confirmed it, but everyone else is okay. Rachel, Johnny, even your sister. They're shaken, but alive." A heavy silence settled between them as Tate's thoughts raced. EJ's connections wove through nearly every part of Tate's life. He pictured Rachel's bright smile, Johnny's easy laugh, Holly's gentle kindness. Could they all truly be safe? Middle, a twist of fate and a delicate opportunity over the next few days, Tate and Sophia gathered in Marlena and John's cozy living room, where the air felt thick with tension. Sophia, her composure faltering, confessed that while she was deeply upset about EJ's shooting, she saw a difficult silver lining. "You know how Amy, my mother, has been steadfastly against Johnny and Chanel adopting a child." Sophia began, her voice barely above a whisper. "She's worried about our stability, especially now that I'm pregnant again." Tate frowned. Sophia's pregnancy had indeed stirred friction in her family. A second child so soon had been a surprise, one that brought both joy and concern. "I thought your mom would never change her mind," he said gently. Sophia nodded, tears spilling over. "I thought so too, but with EJ out of the picture, Amy is suddenly more open. She said she'd consider reopening the adoption discussion." Tate's eyebrows shot up. "Wait, she actually said that?" Sophia gave a small, hopeful smile. "Yes. It's like she's finally ready to help Johnny and Chanel have the family they've dreamed of." A long pause followed. Tate thought of Holly, his girlfriend, whom he'd recently broken up with after a painful argument over Doug, a mutual friend. "Well, he said at last, Holly and I aren't together anymore. So that problem's gone." Sophia reached out and squeezed his hand. "You'll win her back. You always find a way." Tate managed a weak smile. He wasn't so sure. Their breakup had felt final, the arguments too harsh, the pain too deep. But now there was this new, fragile hope for Johnny and Chanel, and perhaps a chance for healing in his own heart as well. Before meeting Amy to discuss the adoption, Tate insisted on checking in on Holly. Sophia looked surprised and a little annoyed, but she let him go, knowing how much Holly still meant to him. Middle two. A secret visitor and old wounds upstairs in her room. Holly lay under the soft covers, the morning light filtering through the curtains. Her phone buzzed with Tate's text. "Can we talk?" She tapped her thumb over the screen, uncertain what to say. Suddenly, Doug, the friend who had caused so much tension, popped up from behind her bed, dressed only in boxers. "Mornin'," he said cheerfully, stretching as if it were any other day. Holly sat up with a start. "Doug, what are you doing here?" He grinned sheepishly. "I needed a place to stay." Thanks for letting me crash. She sighed, remembering the heated argument that had driven her and Tate apart. Fine, she said softly. But Grandma Maggie is visiting today. You'll have to hide until she leaves. Doug nodded and settled onto the bed, propping himself on one elbow. I'm sorry about everything with you and Tate. Holly frowned. Are you really? Or are you just saying that because I'm upset? He hesitated, then met her eyes. I do care about you. I never wanted to come between you and Tate. Before she could respond, Holly's phone beeped with a breaking news alert. EJ was shot last night. Her breath caught. Oh my, that's terrible, she murmured. Though EJ was no longer her stepfather, she remembered him fondly, how he'd helped her through hard times, how he'd always shown kindness. It's shocking, Doug said quietly. I hope he recovers. Holly nodded, worry knitting her brow. I should call Johnny, see how everyone is. She slipped from the room, leaving Doug alone. He reached for a framed photograph on her nightstand, a picture of Holly and Tate smiling together. A slow, bittersweet smile spread across his face as he held it gently. And the road ahead later that day, Tate met Sophia and her mother, Amy, in the sunlit living room of Marlena and John's house. Amy's eyes were soft as she looked at Johnny and Chanel, their hopeful faces shining. Mom, Sophia began, her voice trembling with relief, thank you for giving us this chance. Amy took a deep breath, then nodded. I want what's best for my grandchildren. Johnny and Chanel will be wonderful parents. Tears of joy filled Sophia's eyes as she embraced her mother. Tate watched, his heart swelling with happiness for his friends. After the meeting, Tate stepped outside and dialed Holly's number. It rang twice before she answered, her voice warm yet cautious. Tate? Hey, he said softly. I heard about EJ. Are you okay? I'm managing, Holly replied, her voice catching. How are you? I'm better now that I know you're safe. He paused, gathering courage. Can we meet? I'd like to talk, really talk. A moment of silence, then Holly said yes. I'd like that. As Tate hung up, the late afternoon sun bathed the garden in golden light. He felt hope stirring. Hope for EJ's recovery, hope for Sophia and Johnny's growing family, and hope for a new beginning with Holly. The road ahead would not be without its challenges, but for the first time in a long while, Tate believed they could face it together. Epilogue. Healing and renewal. In the days that followed, EJ's condition improved steadily, bringing relief to everyone who cared for him. Sophia's pregnancy progressed with fewer worries, now buoyed by the promise of a loving adoptive family for her first child. And Tate and Holly, after heartfelt conversations and shared memories, found their way back to one another, stronger, more understanding, and ready to embrace whatever the future held. Life, they discovered, was a tapestry woven from joy and sorrow, hope and fear. But through every twist and turn, the bonds of friendship and family remained their guiding light. And in the gentle warmth of new beginnings, they learned that even the darkest nights give way to the promise of dawn.